Okay, welcome to Mrs. Booth's 5th grade science flipped classroom. Today we're going to take a look at light and shadows as a subject, and specifically we want to see if we can discover how position of a light source alters the size and shape of a shadow. Okay, so here we have one of Ginzey's interactives, which I absolutely love this one. I could use a lamp or a flashlight or many things to show you how shadow is impacted by a light source. But I think as we have been studying our physical science all about space, it is important that you understand and see the thing you're most familiar with, and that is your own shadow, which is of course due to the light source of the sun. So this is an interactive called the sun's apparent path. So if you will notice, this is a line that's drawn. Of course, this is not an actual line that you could see if you were in space, but it's just been drawn to give you an idea of how the sun's path goes. Okay, and it's marked off in hours, and they call this solar time. So 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, all the way up to 18 hours. Okay, so if you can imagine, this is, it's hard to see right now, it'll be easier to see in a moment, but here's a person right here and here's a tree. So I'll pause it, but I want you to notice as the sun starts traveling its apparent path, which is at this angle, you can see in the fall or the autumn what happens to the shadows at different, when the sun is at different points in the sky. So let's take a look, and I'll pause. Okay, so now you can see the sun has just become, in this little cross section of earth for this little person, the sun has just come up. So notice how when the sun is over this direction, the shadows are cast this way. Okay, this young person is facing forward, but the sun is to the left of him. Okay, so it's on his left side, and that means the shadow will be on its right side. So let's keep going and see how the shadows change, and I'll pause it. Now see how those shadows are moving. So now the sun is directly overhead, and we would probably call this lunchtime or noon, high noon maybe. And that is when the shadow has moved from its right, it's gone all the way around to being behind for this person and for this tree. So can you predict now the sun, when the sun was over here on his left side, his shadow was over on the right. So can you predict where is the sun, when the sun is on his right side, where is his shadow going to be? So it went from being here to behind, from being here to behind. If the sun's over here, can you predict where it's going to be? Let's take a look. Okay, so you notice that the shadow was over here. I'm going to replay that again. So it's going to go all the way around. This is when there's no shadows or night. It's on the left, so the shadow's on the right. The shadow moves. Here's what it looks like around high noon. And let's pause it right here. You'll notice that the shadow is on the right. On the left, and the sun is on the right. So it's when the light is this way, it's almost like you're drawing a straight line, and the shadow will be cast to the left of this little person and the tree as well. But notice how big the shadow gets. Let's watch it again. So when the sun first comes up, the shadow is pretty short. Pardon me, the shadow's pretty short. It's almost the exact size of this person. And then it gets still again almost the same size, kind of short still. Now look what happens to it as it gets to this point. See how long, that's this darker one, is the little person's shadow. This shadow is long. So it's much longer than it was when it came up first. Okay, let's take a look at winter and see how the shadows change. So this is, you can see now, let's go back to autumn. Okay, so this is autumn, and now we've changed to winter. And you can notice the sun's apparent path, there are lots fewer hours. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours in the winter where the sun can go. And in autumn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, where the sun is apparent to this little person. Okay, so let's see what the winter one looks like. Check out the shadows of when the sun in the winter, what it looks like. Okay, so now the shadow's coming up on this, and again, look how long the shadow is. Remember when he was in the autumn, this was a little short shadow. It almost matched his height. So now it's starting out as very long. Let's see what happens as time goes on. Now here's the middle of the day, so noon, and the shadow is cast right behind, shorter than it was when it came up. Let's see, can you predict what's going to happen when it gets over here to 16 hours? Where is it going to be? So the sun will be here, the shadow will be where, and will it be long or short? Let's take a look. Okay, so here's the sun at 16 hours. The shadow is back here. So when the sun's on the right, the shadow's to his left. And look how long it is. Let's take a look and see if it's as long as when it came up. So now there's no sun to cast a shadow. Okay, so there it's very long. Not so long. And you could see this was very long again. Okay, let's take a look at spring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. As many as in autumn. Okay, so there's as many hours the sun is casting shadows as there were in autumn. Let's start this out and see what happens. So no sun is casting any shadows. Comes up. There's a short shadow. There's a short shadow. Can you predict what's going to happen when it gets over here? Where's the shadow going to be? And what is it going to be, short or long? Let's see what happens. Okay, so the shadow is directly opposite from the light source, and it's longer than it was when it first came up. Let's take a look one more time. And just watch as it goes around. It stays short and it ends long. Okay, finally, let's look at summer. Now summer, of course, has the most hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, which is why we love summer, because it's plenty of time to do all the things we want to do. There's more time when we have the sun available to us. So let's see what happens in the summer when the sun first comes up. Okay, so can't even long, it's hard to see, but it's a long shadow right here, but it's really hard to see. Long and thin. Let's look at what happens to it. Okay, now a few hours later it becomes shorter and fatter. If you notice, the tree was almost like a stick. Now it looks actually like a tree. Let's see what happens when it gets directly overhead. Okay, so much fatter. This tree is very tall, but look at its shadow when it's directly overhead. It's very fat and small. So what's going to happen when it gets over here? Let's see what happens. So it's getting longer, and you can see by the time the sun goes down, the shadows are very long and thin. And there's kind of, let's watch that again. So sometimes there's a saying that says, you cast a long shadow. Okay, and they're referring to this type of shadow right here from a long day at the end of summer. Okay, so to cast a big shadow, you would be at the end of a summer day. Okay, it wouldn't be very bright, it wouldn't be a very distinct shadow like it is. Let's go back around again and watch. So there's a very distinct shadow, and it gets even more distinct as it goes. So by the end it's long, but it's not very distinct. It's hard to see. Okay, so that is how a light source affects the shape and the length of a shadow. And there's no better light source to examine it with than the sun. Thanks for watching.